Well, the SBA incentives are officially gone. What a ride. So are we done? Does demand for SBA loans pull back, or are we just getting started? Stick around and I'll tell you. Hey, thanks for tuning back into the Art of SBA Lending podcast. So I was at an SBA conference the other day, and one of the big topics everyone was talking about was how we are all busier than ever, and SBA lending is up big. How big, you ask? This is the most active year in the history of both the SBA 7A and 504 loan programs. 2020 was a down year because of COVID, but 2021 has come back with a vengeance, up 30% compared to 2019, and even higher if you compare it to 2020. And that's through August data. And after we get September data, I think the numbers are going to be even more eye-popping. So what's driving this growth? Let's look at that first. Let's start at the beginning. COVID wreaked havoc on small business in the early days. Government shut down businesses and sent the markets into a tailspin. And this created an economic environment of absolute uncertainty right out of the gate, which lenders do not like. And SBA lending, regular lending, just about froze up there in the early days. And then during the back half of 2020, more and more SBA lenders started cautiously coming back into lending. Then all of a sudden, I think 2 days after Christmas, Congress passes a bill and the president signs it into law that gives us the 90% guarantee, the fee waiver, the free payments, and other goodies. And it was off to the races. Just about every SBA lender became open for business because their risk was cut in half. By the way, all of this is happening with PPP in the backdrop. It's all being talked about in the news. 1099 contractors are getting PPP loans. It saves millions of jobs. And now everyone knows what SBA stands for. It's a household name. So what is fueling all of this volume and demand? Entrepreneurs, they use the SBA loan for a variety of things: to buy real estate, for their business, make improvements to the real estate, buy a business, buy out a partner, equipment, inventory, perhaps a combination of some of those things. And I feel like anytime there's a shakeup like the one we had last year, it forces people to act. And when you have all of these incentives from the SBA, it just reinforces their decision to expand or to buy a business. But the big question on everyone's mind is, will SBA volume sustain after September 30th? And I think the answer to that is a resounding yes. Think about it. SBA is in the spotlight. No longer are we the lender of last resort. We're the cool kids now. And we're likely the only option anyway because conventional lending is still scarce. I have a theory on this. Conventional lenders tend to underwrite stable businesses with multiple years of debt service coverage. But things are not stable right now. And I'm seeing a lot of businesses with revenue that either shot up or crashed down in 2020. And SBA lenders are uniquely equipped to handle that. And also, things are more expensive now. So if you're underwriting 2019 cash flow for a fast-growing company, conventional lenders aren't going to see the kind of DSCR that they're going to need to get it done, leaving SBA to come in and fill in the gaps. And those gaps, I think, are bigger right now. We have more flexible guidelines, which is needed in times like this. Now, the next point's a little controversial, but it's true. Banks that were active with PPP and 7A saw record profits this year. And once you get a taste of that non-interest income, it's hard to quit. So I think lenders figure out a way to grow their production and maintain those profits. You also have new lenders that were involved with PPP coming in, learning how to make 7A loans. You have new banks coming into the market trying to build an SBA department, again, because all the cool kids are doing it. And I can tell you from being on the front lines, losing these incentives has not slowed me down. Like, my client isn't going to not buy that business because the SBA fee is back. They aren't going to continue to rent instead of buy their building because the SBA fee is back. Half the folks coming to me didn't even know about the incentives, maybe more than half. And in the last 30 days, I've gotten more calls than ever before from folks seeking financing, and they all know that they missed the window for the incentives. And that's an indication that volume isn't going to suddenly stop on October 1. This volume has more to do with the SBA lenders having to come in and fill in the gaps left behind by non-SBA lenders than it does with the incentives. So will we see a steep drop off now that the incentives are gone? Absolutely not. That said, some SBA lenders will certainly pull back on their aggressive structures or the deals that they were doing with the 90. There were probably some deals that they approved at 90% that they will not approve at 75%. But there's also plenty of shops like mine where we didn't change our underwriting with the 90, so we're not going to change when we go back to the 75. And last week at our SBA conference here in Florida, SBA's trade organization told us that they are hard at work working with Congress to bring back the 90% guarantee and the fee waiver, not the free payments. But the reason is because many states, many industries, this pandemic is not over. And a lot of banks that aren't as aggressive as non-bank lenders like us are going to stay away from those loan requests without the 90% guarantee. So I think it's a good idea because we can't handle all of the volume by ourselves. We need help from all the banks to tackle this crazy volume. I cannot do it alone, folks. So that's my take on this issue. Thanks for listening. Come back next week.